Welcome back, fuckers, to the Taylor Peace Experience. Look, you need to say something, okay? At least, by the end of this video, hopefully I'll convince you. You need to say, I don't care, to all the information in your life. Look, this video is not so much for the people who are already, off their phones, not really watching the news, all that shit much. They just focus themselves, clarity of mind as a fuck. That's great. Keep doing what the fuck you're doing. I'm talking about the guys, maybe your friends, and you've seen this before. And if you are one of those people who has clarity of mind, you'll still see this. Like in these examples, you'll see this in some of your friends who aren't. You'll see. For those people who are hella into Instagram, just looking at the reels or social media, or your parents that have seen the news, let me tell you something. You don't need pretty much all of that fucking information. You could be, without looking at what's on Instagram, what's on Snapchat, whatever the fuck else. There's some new shit out there, I'm sure, or the news. And most of the important shit just gets told to you anyway. How many times have you seen your parents? It's 6 o'clock, they come back, they're back home, they watch the news. And they see Trump charges, they see all matters of crises that don't affect them. They see all manner of things that could happen but haven't happened yet, ooh. And they get mad, they just focus on this shit. And it takes up their day and it irritates them or some shit like that, when the majority of that information has no effect on them. Now what you should do is know information that affects you and your family and those you have to protect, which is your friends and family. I got this idea from a chapter in Daily Stoic that I've been reading since New Year's. A fucking awesome idea, by the way. And I was really talking about what you should be able to say to the majority of information is, I don't know. You need to be able to have the courage to say, hey, I don't know about this subject. I don't know anything about it. Or, I don't care. More specifically, have the courage to say, I don't care. A friend asked me, the other day we were sitting in class, my third period, and he asked me, they had some fucking, him and another guy just had some tea going on, some rumors spreading between us. I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck. I was confused. I was like, what the fuck's happening? And he turns to me and he's like, hey, what do you think about this guy? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, blah, blah, blah. I've seen him about 5 times. I shared a class with him, but I never really spoke to the motherfucker. Otherwise, we've spoken 3, 4, 5 times. He seems like a good guy, but I don't, this is literally what I said. He seems like a good guy, but I don't trust him. This is my impression on him. Now, what I should have said is, I don't fucking care. Because let's be honest, he doesn't need my opinion, you don't need my opinion. He asked me for it, but he really doesn't fucking need it. You really don't need all these fucking opinions, let's be honest. Look at the news, you look at the news on the TV, you look at it online, on social media, on any kind of website. Shit is skewed as a motherfucker. There's always 2 sides, and you always see the fucking height of the 2 sides. You never really see the facts unless you specifically look for it, and even then it's still skewed to one side. Most of that information is already changed, opinionated, then spread online to catch like wildfire, because that's what sells for them. You don't need that information. Most of the important shit just gets put over to you anyway. If you're not on social media, not watching the news, most of the important shit just comes to you anyway. People just tell you about it. They'll just bring it up in conversation like, oh, yeah, it's cool. Something that actually affects me, okay, now I know about it, because the important shit people will talk about. The non-important shit you don't need in your life, because nobody fucking talks about it. They keep it up to themselves. You don't need that shit in your life. You don't need that influx of information. You just say no to the news, no to social media. You don't need that shit. You don't need to know what's going on in Margaret's life. She don't give a fuck about you. You don't give a fuck about Margaret. You haven't seen her in 2-3 years. Y'all sexted once, and then you ghosted her. You don't need that. What you need instead is to use all that information for yourself. All that time, that clarity of mind for yourself. Tell me, is that not better? Is that not a better option than sit 2 hours on Instagram when you come home and scroll through your phone? The average person spends 1 to 2 hours on social media a day. Maybe more. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know if I can accept that for myself. I don't know if I can accept that for you guys. Come on, you're my viewers. Do fucking better than that. Fuck that shit. Cut that shit out of your life. I used to have such big FOMO about deleting Instagram. Such big FOMO. I was on vacation, and I remember I saw this guy that I really followed at the time. He was saying man, I just spend an hour scrolling through Instagram instead of working, I'm done with this shit. I'm too far in self-improvement to be doing this shit. I gotta be done with this. Bye. I need to delete Instagram. And I was like, I really like that. And I followed him too, and I deleted Instagram. I never really looked back. It was hard at first, but to be honest, I really never really looked back. My life only got better when I came off that shit, because there was so much FOMO, but it was for the stupidest shit. Like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to see what other people are doing. Who gives a fuck? You don't need that shit anyway. You don't need that shit. What you really need is to use that energy for yourself and get to a place where you want to actually be, instead of looking at this bitch posted on a story like her in a nice fit, but you can see pretty much her entire titties because she's trying to get attention. Let's be honest. You don't need that. You know damn well you don't need that shit. You know damn well. Maybe not immediately after. Maybe not in a week or 2 weeks. But in a month, in 2 months, 3 months, certainly 6 months, and definitely 6 fucking years from now, you will benefit greatly from being completely off social media and not having all that shit influx your mind, and using that shit on yourself, using all that energy that you've now kept to yourself. Because you don't need all that information. You can just say, hey, apparently there was some shit with like Taylor Swift, conspiracy theory, or like some scandal with a football player. See, I don't even think I got that all right, because I genuinely don't care about it. You can literally just say, I don't care about it. Because let's be honest, that shit does not affect you. That shit does not affect me. It does not affect those we love. Does not affect who we gotta protect as men. Like, what the fuck, yo? You don't need that shit. I'm in this like calm little rant here right now. If you're someone who watches the news a lot or spends a lot of time on Instagram, I dead ass say just cut that shit out. Do something else. Replace that shit with something better. 100% of the time, you will be better off for it. Unless you're even if you're a journalist, even like just cutting that shit out of your life the majority of the time is just better. It's just better. Straight up. It'll be worth it, I promise you. I fucking do promise you. You will never look back and be like, man, I wish when I had Instagram. Like, shut the fuck up. That shit is not happening. Peace, fuckers.